Hey there, everyone. I'm meteorologist Cassie Knoll, and this is your 10 Weather Impact Recap for the week. Let's start with a look at some of the top weather stories. Locally, the recent big weather story has been the rain. In Chattanooga, parts of I-24 were closed on Tuesday after more than 6 inches of rain fell in about 12 hours. Motorists were stranded, and officials had to wait for the water to recede before they could remove flooded out cars. Chattanooga Airport recorded 6.42 inches of rain on Tuesday, which is the second highest single-day rainfall total on record for the city. About 20 minutes south of Chattanooga in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, more than 100 people were rescued from rising floodwaters. The majority of those rescues happened in an apartment complex near the center of town. Drone video shows the dramatic flooding, which was up to waist deep in the first floors of the buildings. And check this out. A lightning strike was caught on camera on Monday in South Carolina. This is video from Mount Pleasant Police Department dash cam. The bolt struck a utility pole and caused a series of explosions that knocked out power to the area. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but roads did have to be closed for several hours. In the Central Plains, a team of scientists wrapped up their summer research studying severe storms. Floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes usually grab more attention, but damage from wind and hail are responsible for nearly half of all home insurance claims. Unfortunately, research like this could be in jeopardy in the future due to deep budget cuts. Meteorologist Chase Kane met up with these scientists to see how they're using your tax dollars to keep us safe in a storm.
For millions of Americans, that sound might as well be a cash register because hail costs Americans $10 to $15 billion every year.
Oh my God.
Once it grows to an inch or larger, it becomes especially destructive, shattering car windshields, flattening crops, and turning roofs into Swiss cheese.
I feel sorry for a lot of the homeowners in North Texas. I feel like we just keep getting hit every year.
In fact, nearly half of all home insurance claims are caused by wind and hail. And it's tricky for meteorologists to forecast because there hasn't been dedicated research into hail in nearly 50 years until now.
Good. Get out.
Dozens of scientists just spent 6 weeks driving 14 specially rigged trucks into storms like this, scooping up more than 10,000 hailstones, positioning mobile radars, and launching balloons into the wind to collect data, the real-life inspiration for Hollywood.
These sensors take scientific measurements.
We have these instruments called hail sods. It's almost like from the movie Twister. If we can track that sensor with time, understand the exact path, the exact trajectory that a hailstone takes, and really at the end of the day make better hail forecasts.
Victor Gensini is one of the lead scientists on IceChip, and his team's goal is to better understand the details of exactly what inside a storm creates certain types and sizes of hail.
So how does hail form? Well, if we imagine this ping pong ball is ice already forming a hailstone, and this hairdryer is going to be the strong winds rushing up from the surface into the storm, that's known as the updraft. The hail is going to be held up in the storm by the updraft, and it's going to get bounced around, sometimes chaotically, 20, even 50,000 feet in the air. And that hail is going to stay up there. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger until the updraft just can't support the hail anymore, and then it falls to the surface. So if we are getting golf ball or baseball or even soccer ball size hail here at the surface, just imagine how strong those winds were up in the cloud.
And that part has Gensini and other scientists concerned because their latest research shows that climate change will make updrafts even stronger, which could make the biggest, most destructive hail up to 75% larger, an especially concerning statistic for farmers fearing for their fields.
It could be in the end of the crop, or even we see flattened to the ground, both times.
These two farmers were on their way to check their crops after hail the night before. Wow. The exact reason the IceChip team picked this part of eastern Montana. Before the storm, researchers Karen Kosiba and Josh Werman positioned the mobile radar here. It's called a COW, C-band on wheels, and it gives them a detailed look at the hail inside a storm. And equipment like that in places like this,
Let this person go through?
definitely gets attention.
No, we were out here for the hail last night.
Terrified because a couple miles that way is where like a tornado touched down. I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna die.
So everybody's really concerned about the weather, and being out in a lot of these areas that we're studying these hailstorms, there's a lot of agriculture that's going on. There are crops, machinery, getting stuff into shelter. So there's a lot of economic ties to the weather.
And the ability to pay for research like this in the future is in doubt. The National Science Foundation funded this field work last fall, just before President Biden left office. Now, the Trump administration is slashing NSF funding by more than half. The White House telling NBC News in part that NOAA is committed to providing gold standard research and data for the American people. But all the scientists I talked to say that's impossible with such drastic cuts to the NSF, warning Americans' safety could be threatened.
There's going to be no improvement in forecasts. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we suffer as a country because we don't invest in basic fundamental research.
We hope that people see that there is a connection between this science back in the labs and what's affecting their communities.
In Montana, I'm meteorologist Chase Kane.
In Alaska, the U.S. Geological Survey has released a time-lapse video showing rising water levels of a glacial lake near Juneau from July and August. Now, this huge basin is dammed by the Mendenhall Glacier and is expected to empty this week, sending a surge of water and chunks of ice down the Mendenhall River into the city of Juneau. This phenomenon is called a glacial outburst, and it first became a problem in Juneau in 2011. Each year since, the basin, left open after a glacier retreated from the area, fills with water and then rapidly empties. Record flooding in 2023 and 2024 sent frigid floodwaters into neighborhoods, damaging or destroying nearly 300 homes. This year, officials installed new flood barriers in an effort to protect communities along the river, but they aren't taking any chances. Evacuation orders have been issued and residents are currently moving to higher ground. We'll have an update to this story in next week's recap. And continuing with more glaciers in the news, in Europe, glaciers are melting faster than ever. And experts say that changing climate is playing a role in their disappearance. Molly Hunter has the story from the Swiss Alps.
As we hike towards the mighty Morteratsch Glacier high in the Swiss Alps.
So we can see the glacier now.
There it is!
Yeah.
Even in its relatively diminished state, it is extraordinary. Woo! As we near 7,000 feet, the air gets thinner. We're on the heels of scientist Leo Hosley doing his PhD work at Morteratsch as we make the final scramble up.
Wow, the sound of that.
Yeah.
We hear it before we see it.
This is amazing.
Made it.
That's cold.
That's very cold. Yeah. It's a really apparent sign of climate change. The glacier retreat is going to affect the water availability, and in the end it all flows into the seas, right, into the oceans, and there it's going to affect sea level rise, and that affects a huge amount of people.
European glaciers are melting faster than anywhere else on the planet. New research published in Nature Science Journal finds they've lost about 40% of their volume in the last 25 years, equivalent to about 3 Olympic swimming pools every second. Researchers here have been measuring the dramatic retreat for more than a century.
We've just walked the path of where the glacier used to be to get up here. The situation is dire, and we can see that. But there's also a lot of ice up above me, and there's a lot of beauty that's worth saving.
Across the border in Austria, glaciologist Andrea Fischer says it's too late to save Austria's glaciers in their current state.
We will lose 1/3 of the Austrian glaciers entirely during the next 5 years.
Fischer brought an NBC News team here to Stubai Glacier back in 2005.
There is no possibility to save glaciers without saving climate.
Protective blankets covered the slopes then, but today she calls them glacier band-aids. And as we're talking,
there's lots of debris coming down off this rock
face. You can hear it right
face.
now.
Yeah.
Actually.
And now villages across the Alps facing a riskier, uncertain future. Back in May, a glacial slide obliterating the Swiss village of Blatten.
Now the events are more often and stronger.
And back on Morteratsch, Hosley is remarkably still optimistic.
Yes, they're melting, yes, they're retreating, but they're still incredibly beautiful. They're still large, they're still big, there's still huge amounts of ice here. And so it's not like it's a completely lost cause. There's still something to save here, right?
Molly Hunter, NBC News on Morteratsch Glacier in Switzerland.
Back here in the southeast, it's been more than 10 months since Hurricane Helene tore through the region, leaving parts of the iconic Appalachian Trail unrecognizable. Nearly 1/3 of the century-old trail was impacted, and restoring it won't be quick or easy. Visual storyteller Jillian Taylor went up the mountain to show us the progress of the recovery efforts.
At Cherry Gap along the Tennessee-North Carolina border, volunteers are hard at work, but they can't help getting distracted.
Whoa, I see a bunch of red flowers down there. What are those?
By the rocks, the critters, the flowers.
It's Monarda, mountain mint.
Mountain mint, huh?
It's a stunning place to work.
Like, it's unbelievable. It's really special. So it's why seeing what happened after Helene hurts.
Hurricane Helene closed 430 miles of the Appalachian Trail.
Hello!
The volunteers are bringing it back step by step, clearing down trees.
1, 2, 3.
Shaving logs. Moving dirt.
We have to fill in a giant hole in the trail. How long is this hole? 20 feet?
At least. Maybe
yeah, 25 feet or so of trail that's dug out by this huge windfall.
Most of the volunteers say the work is a joy.
And one of the best things about this is there's no Wi-Fi and no cell signal.
None.
None. It's bliss. Total bliss. And because I'm a university administrator and get like over 500 emails a day, you just can't understand how special that really is.
As damaged as these woods are, to me they are still beautiful.
Crew leader Matt Perinaud hiked this trail years ago, but he didn't even recognize the trail when he returned.
Said, oh, this can't be it. And because it looks completely different. It was all wooded.
It's a massive job, but one the Appalachian Trail Conservancy is ready for, using a model that's drawn global interest.
It's really nice to see everybody, working together, communicating.
Kumi Azawa manages a 1,000-kilometer trail in Japan, where typhoons can cause similar damage.
Sometimes we have a lot of fallen trees. I think this time is really good timing for me.
She's here alongside 2 other Japanese trail professionals to help and to learn about how to engage volunteers in recovery efforts. Because for many, these woods, this earth is priceless, something they will sacrifice to protect.
To me, this is home. It's my home away from home.
In Unicoi County, I'm Jillian Taylor.
The Appalachian Trail Conservancy says repairs could take years, but the work is well underway. To volunteer or donate to the restoration effort, visit appalachiantrail.org. And now let's get a check of your 7-day forecast in case you want to do any hiking. We will see rain chances tapering off as we head into the weekend, but one thing to note, it is going to be hot. Those highs in the low 90s this weekend are going to feel more like the upper 90s to close to the triple digits. So if you are going to be getting outside to do any outdoor activities, morning is the better time, and you want to make sure you drink plenty of water as we return to the heat of late summer. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you can always get the latest in the forecast with the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.